I'll be right there. I'm just setting up the live stream. I wish I knew how to do this in advance. It doesn't allow you to do it, believe it or not. You have to start the stream up and then go into it. Very weird. I'm just about done. Thank you so much for being patient. And now I am here. Everybody, thank you so much for joining in. I hope everybody had a great day at work. I took the day off to be with my wife. And I'll probably be taking tomorrow off as well. So I'm sure we all been watching the news and we've been listening to every little tidbit of information. And don't sweat it, folks. Don't sweat it. Don't listen to any of the news stations right now, with the exception of maybe Newsmax on your cable network dial. And if you don't have cable, Newsmax, and I am not an agent of Newsmax. I don't make money for pumping them up, so to speak. Newsmax is broadcasted live, believe it or not, on YouTube. Just type in Newsmax and go to their live channel, which is pretty phenomenal. I'm surprised YouTube hasn't banned them yet, being a conservative talk radio. FN Base, thank you so much for being here. I know about the watermarks, but we'll see. I think if you're good enough to forge documents, you're also good enough to forge the watermark upon them. I don't believe who's ever forging any documents is not going to look at the original under high scrutiny, including a microscope, to make sure there's nothing hidden. Very much like our fiat currency. There's a lot of hidden stuff in the printing of the dollar. If you were to look at it under a microscope and know what you're looking for, there's a lot of hidden features there that can be duplicated if you just know that they are there. Saying that, though, one would have to question if they're printing legal ballots but filling them in illegally. So there's another scenario that you would have to think about, right? I mean, let's just face it. There's a lot of printers out there, and I don't think all the ballots are coming in from the Department of Justice. I don't think there's one, and I think the Department of Justice is in charge of that, but I don't believe there's one depository, whatever the word is, that all the ballots come from. I don't believe that. I don't know that to be 100% factual, though. I thought each state might have its ability to print its own legal ballots. I don't know how factual that is. I'm openly admitting that. I don't think the ballots are just mailed in a package to each county, each city, each state. I don't believe that to be it wouldn't sound, the resources it would take would be astronomical. It would be smart, though, however, if your census, you know how you take a census? It would be smart, though, if, let's say, your county census or your city census documents so many people, right? Let's just say your city of Tucson documents itself as 1 million strong. Perhaps it'd be wise to send Tucson 1 million ballots. Maybe a couple of extras for accidents. But to give them a printer and just say, hey, we know you have only 1 million people, Tucson. I'm just using Tucson as an example. We know you only have 1 million people living in Tucson, but, print all you need. Print 4 or 5 million. That seems a little crazy, too. So who knows how it's going to play off. I want to say this. You know, the laws were changed. They were changed by Democrats. You know, it's funny. They were, for years now, even before Obama, voter ID was heavy, saying you're squashing their votes. You're stopping people from voting. It's racist to demand all kinds of excuses to demand just the ID aspect. What is that? You're suppressing the vote. That was the big thing. You're suppressing the votes. With mandating voter ID. Yet go to any liquor store in the continental United States. I do believe this. And if they sold you one single beer without ID, they're shutting down the store. They're arresting people. It's such bull crap, that suppression of vote argument, because everybody here in the United States has some form of identification. And to say, you're forcing people who can't afford to have proper identity that's ludicrous. So they changed the laws. Okay, you don't need voter ID. And then whereas you do need voter ID, okay, we're just going to blanket mail out ballots to the entire population. Therefore, you don't have to show any ID. Isn't that just wonderful? Oh, and we're going to change the laws again, just months before the election. Not only do you not need to show an ID when you mail in those ballots, no signature is required, no, everything was changed. And what happens when you bastardize? Another word is corrupt. When you corrupt the rules of a system, when you corrupt it and bastardize it to a point, you come up with a bastardized process. Again, try walking into the White House without an identification. Try buying a bottle of booze without an identification. Yet it's okay to vote for the leader of the free world without an identification. Does that seem wise? Does that seem like a rule that is in place to protect the citizens? Are we really suppressing the votes? Or are they changing the rules in disguise of protecting the citizens, only to rape and pillage the citizens? It's a real sad state of affairs when Democrats and Democrat lawyers betray the citizens, betray the country, and make acts of illegal activity legal. Try buying a bottle of booze without an ID. They'll come in. Every government, every three-letter acronym from the government will come in, shut that store down, arrest everybody in the store. Oh my God, they'll be hell to pay if they sold a bottle of booze without ID. And these same people will do that, but then argue, hey, you're suppressing the votes with that ID. Knowing very well they have ID. You're not suppressing nobody. It is a sad state of affairs. It truly is. You corrupt the rules, you corrupt the system. You corrupt the system, you corrupt the outcome, you corrupt the product. I heard North Carolina, I think, is in Trump's corner tonight. I think Newsmax declared North Carolina. Was it North Carolina? Trump's win. I think it was North Carolina. Jessica Martinez, hello. Taylor Swift. I hate the artist known as Taylor Swift, but I'm glad you are here. Johnny Eller, I am doing well. Had to turn on the heater for the first time today, first time in this year. Got a little nippy here. Just got back from the hospital visiting the missus. So she's doing well. I mean, this is just a normal kind of a procedure for her. Nothing detrimental, nothing life-threatening, but something that really needed to be taken care of. And finally, now that the hospitals are calming down with COVID, their regulations, she was able to get in there and get the procedure done. So my love and wishes go out to my wife. Crypto Cash, hello, and Peter Schweigart. I don't know why I like that last name, Schweigart. Jeff Lone Wolf. Hey, Overtax, it's good to see you again on another live stream. Hopefully you are doing real great, pal. I am doing very well. I just want to see President Donald Trump get another 4 years. Jessica Martinez, I don't watch television. I can understand that. Hi, oh Silver. Hi, oh Silver away. That was the Long Ranger, by the way. Christopher Cortez, crazy how Fox showed their true colors. And there's a couple of people. First of all, Judge Janine, I heard she got suspended for calling the election as she saw it. They suspended her. Talk about cutting off free speech, and she might even have a lawsuit. So she's a good one to watch when she's on. Obviously, Tucker Carlson's another one. Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham. And what's Sean Hannity's friend's name? I'll think of it in a second. Other than that, the rest of them suck. But when those folks are on, they're phenomenal to watch. And I don't doubt that they'll soon be leaving Fox as soon as their contract is up. Right now, they're legally bound to a contract, I would imagine. And I bet you there's all kinds of legal necessities in that contract. They can't speak ill of their employer, that type of thing. So you're not going to hear them come out against Fox News. But I wouldn't doubt it. And hopefully their contract was only a yearly one, not some long 5-year-long crap. And I'm hoping that they leave Fox News and maybe go over to Newsmax or something like that. Mark Levin was the name that I wanted to mention. So Mark Levin, Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, and Laura Ingraham. When they're on Fox News, change it to Fox News. Other than that, do not watch that station, that channel. Thank you so much for being here. Big Chief again in the house. Thank you so much. So back to Jessica Martinez. I urge you to watch some news. It's also important to know your enemy. Know your enemy. I'm not saying bombard yourself with negative news or any news for that matter, but it is important to not only listen to the news that you agree with, but listen to the news you don't agree with. Know your enemy. Very important. Christopher Cortez, thank you again for that comment. Adrian Branham. By the way, if I can get everybody to give me a thumbs up, it's not like I'm asking to borrow your car keys. You know what I mean? Felonious, thank you so much. Felonious Bitcoin, love the title. Thank you so much. This video, as we're recording, will probably get demonetized due to its title. I think big tech is very emboldened now. They feel like that the lawsuits will be ending to break up their monopolies now that they think Biden has won. And I think this is just emboldening them. I want you to pay note to something. Notice that when the conservatives are on the cusp of losing the president that they voted for, notice there's no violent riots, no looting, no beating people over the head with sticks and whatnot. Notice the difference. I just want you to pay very close attention to the details. When we lose, we might not be happy with it at first, but we don't go and burn down our own neighborhoods. Though certain things should be burnt down, in my opinion. And that might be coming from some pissed off people in those particular states. Doug Ford, a trucker group has planned a strike against Biden fracking ban. Yeah, I wish they would do a little bit more than that. Cheap Laugh Kennedy, JP Morgan's metal manipulation penalty. Now, don't you do that again, or we'll take away your allowance. It's funny. I wanted to talk about. I love this mute button. I can press it, cough, and all these manipulations of our silver that we're buying, the illegal activities of bankers, and they make profits in the billions due to these illegal activities. And they only get fined millions. I'll tell you something. If I knew that, I can go and make billions in profit, knowing that the outcome won't be jail and will only be $1 million or $2 million fine. What a business model. And that's what has been occurring for many, many, many years. And this is not a left or right thing. This is just a corrupt government getting their pay. You're going to give us our fine. We're going to call it a fine. You're going to pay us $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, whatever it is. It's a fine. Don't do it again, JP Morgan. Don't do it again. All the other bankers. And they do it again, and what happens? They don't go to jail. They make billions, get fined millions. It's just amazing, that business model. And that's government just allowing them to do it. It's all theater. Hey, look, we punished JP Morgan, and I'm just using JP Morgan as an example. There's all kinds of credit unions out there. There's all the other banks are doing it. They're freaking breaking rules. They're manipulating stocks. They're doing everything they can. High-speed trading and whatnot. Knowing and communicating, hey, we're gonna sell off a couple 100,000 shares of XYZ. You ready to buy up? And it surges the market up. Bank knows when to buy it. The other bank across the street, metaphorically, knows when to buy it up. And who's losing? All the people that invested into that stock, or stocks for that matter. And they get caught, and again, they're just fined measly millions with no jail time. Doug Ford, thank you so much for being here. Cheap Laugh Kennedy, thank you for the comment. Felonious, Bill B, thank you so much. Silver Wolverine, think COVID was the Democrats' fourth coup attempt. It sure was. I've been saying that since January. Please go check out my January videos. I said it when we were all introduced. COVID was just part of the plan. Law and order. Thank you. Hell, some stores demand ID to buy cough syrup. Watch out too, because that Green Deal, he plans to spend $7.3 trillion. Silver will be in high demand. Price will probably take off. We'll see. Chris in SoCal, I'm sorry. Signatures are required and audited. Who else is here? Love your channel. Thank you. That's the Web East State Games Network. Thank you so much. My only advice to people, if Biden does get into office, here's my advice. You need to figure out something. And if you're conservative, if you're not conservative, there's nothing against you. As a matter of fact, I got liberals here that are subscribers. I have no problem with them. But the fact of the matter is, if Biden gets into office, more importantly, if they're able to steal the House and the Senate, you need to make a decision. Are you in the inner cities? You need to move out of the inner cities. Secondly, is your state conservative or liberal? Does it lean to your likings? Because if it doesn't, you need to vacate that state as soon as humanly possible and get over to a state that you think you can survive in. And for me, that's going to be the most conservative city, not only state, but city within that state. That's our plans. When I get the opportunity to move, we are moving. We are moving. I am tired of Arizona. I am tired of its wishy-washy political leanings. I am getting out of here. I'm finding not only a conservative state, but a conservative city within that state. And I'm just going to hold up there because I know that those two, being in that kind of environment, will probably hold out the longest towards communism or socialism. It'll probably be the safest place for a while, hopefully until I die. So that's my recommendation. Are you happy where you're at? Do you feel safe where you're at? And if you're not feeling safe where you're at, and if you feel threatened politically, now is the time to move. Once Biden gets into office, then will be the time to move, is what I meant. Think about that. Will you be threatened politically? South Dakota is looking good. Very little work there. I thought Idaho was looking good, but it's not really. You got a lot of Californians moving into Idaho. And not every... so we thought about Idaho, and then we changed our mind. So right now, the wife and I are actually looking at South Carolina. I would love to move to New York. I'm a New Yorker, but I cannot move there. They're completely left. So South Carolina is looking really good for us. Shrek 9118, and who else is here? Who else? Leo Musselman. Thank you so much for being here. And Roan Bear's here, and Wes is here again. Kofi Fox. Stop the Steel Million mega march outside of White House Saturday. It needs to be more than 1 million. People need to start getting angry and start physically evicting their politicians who go against their will. Literally, physically pull them out of the building and throw them on the curb and evict them is what needs to be happening. Because obviously they have the ability to steal elections. Everything is being stolen, and it has been. It's not just this election. It's been going on for many, 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 many years. Everything down to your local school tax hikes and this proposition and that proposition. It's all been stolen. People voting for their own tax increases. Come on. It's ridiculous. California just voted for its property tax increase. Meanwhile, they're moving out in droves trying to get out from under that overly priced property. I know people in California that have professional jobs who cannot afford to buy a home within driving distance of their place of employment. They said in order to afford a property or home, they have to buy a home which is like 4 or 5 hours outside of all the metropolitan areas of California. They said they can't afford, even with their $100,000 salary, $125,000 salary, they can't afford it. And yet they're trying to claim that California just approved and voted for their own property tax increase. I call bullshit on that one, folks. I really do. Dirk Hong says 95.3% of Roberts County voted for Trump. That's a good thing. I wish the entire United States is like that. But if you want to put that into and say that every place else was 30%, I just don't buy it. I just don't buy it. Dual spectrum reality. Thank you. I am Arizona born and raised, and Arizonans didn't make it this way. Californians did. Move and they will follow you there. J-Leah, Colorado. Colorado is kind of liberal, actually, isn't it? I mean, Colorado might have voted for Trump this year, but you have a lot of liberal cities within Colorado, right? I could be mistaken. And perhaps what's going on in today's social economic environment, maybe a lot of states will start to move towards the conservative line. And that would be great. That really would be great. If people started to see what the hell's going on and start to wake up. Silver Starter Stacking, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate everybody being here. So anyway, I'm going to call it an evening. I've been on almost a half an hour. I think that's long enough. I don't really have much to say. I just wanted to get out there and just, say hi to everybody and speak my piece. That's the great thing about YouTube. You can vent and you can share your thoughts with like-minded people. Anyway, folks, take care of yourself. Hold on a second. Dirk Hong, I bought the wife today a new couch. Paid 9% sales tax, a tax paid with monies that have already been taxed on the federal and state level. That's a true statement. I mean, but that's been like that for freaking ever since I've been on this planet. Your paycheck has federal and state taxes coming out of it. Federal and state. And yet, when you go and buy something from the store, it's a sales tax. But that's really a state sales tax, isn't it? It's a state tax. So it is amazing how they bastardized the rules. And then you have a bastardized, corrupt outcome. Folks, take care and be safe.